Welcome to Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, sponsored by the UI Radio Network at uiradionetwork.org. Catch us on Facebook and Instagram at United Intentions and Twitter at Higher Intention. Look for us on 99.1 FM, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, and many more. Over the next hour, we'll introduce you to some fascinating people and engaging discussions that may provide you with answers to assist in revolutionizing your own personal health. And now, here's Dr. Nelson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash, the host of Health Matters on the UI Media Network. I want to give a shout out to all my friends, fans, and followers who are catching the show right here in Atlanta, my hometown. Or at least for now and for the last 32 years. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I want to give lots of love and appreciation to those of you here in the big ATL who are supporting not only me, but my guest. And I'm not going to tell you yet who she is. I'm going to see if you can figure it out. Those of you who are watching us, no cheating. And I mean it. So listen, we have a great show today. As you know, or if you don't know, Health Matters is a show dedicated to discussing the very best of health, inspiration, and spirituality. And we're going to knock two of those descriptors out of the park today. So stay tuned. I've got a few announcements before we get started. Before we jump in, I also want to thank those who are catching the show in Kentucky and Atlanta on WTTA and Ohio as well. Excuse me. They've joined us as well. Listening to us on WTTA 101.2 FM. Folks, we appreciate you. But I got to tell you, you folks have been a little quiet. And I have friends and family up in Cincinnati, and they're not so quiet. So I want to hear more from you guys, okay? Listen, you can call us at 678-495-4345, or you can send us your messages, your comments, your questions through Facebook Live. By the way, we're on all major social media platforms. And for those of you who are catching us on all the major platforms like iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Blog Talk, and Facebook Live, to name a few, thank you, and please know how much I appreciate you as well. I know a lot of my best friends listen after the show. They don't catch the live version, but they listen to us afterwards. And if you want to do that, the number one question that I am still asked is, Nelson, how do I catch your shows if I miss the live event? And the answer is very simple. You go get our smart app. You simply go to uimediaapp.com and you download our smart app, and that way you can download not only my shows, but all of the shows 24/7 of all the amazing hosts and their guests out of the United Intentions Foundation. We'd love for you to join us. Our intention is to change the world one conscious intention at a time, and we do so through our shows and through our events. So please join us. By the way, if you want to connect with me, you may do so on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and pretty much every other platform under Dr. Nelson Bulmash. Join me, please. LinkedIn as well. If you want to catch and connect with the folks right here at United Intentions, you may do so on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as United Intentions, and Higher Intention on Twitter. I want to give a quick reminder. Don't forget to tune in to my friend and fellow host, Tim Ray. He has his Good Intention show. He's going to interview financial expert Deborah Daniel this coming Wednesday. All right, let's get started. Did you figure out who my guest is? Well, I'm going to give you some more hints. She is amazing. Before I give you her name, she's an international touring artist, songwriter, author of not just upcoming, but it is just now, it's officially released, isn't it? And I feel very blessed. I got an early copy. It's called Fear of Failure. It is excellent, folks. Not super long, but super mighty. The story of how she went from tragedy to triumph. And we're going to discuss her book today. It's wonderful. It's very, very inspiring. Can't wait to jump into it. Here's some things I didn't know about her. She is also a playwright. She wrote I Cheated, So What? She's also was named ATL's hottest female vocalist in 2017 and 2018. She is a force of nature. She also has done a lot of humanitarian work and is the CEO and founder of Artists Rock the Mic Foundation. She has done a lot of charitable work. She is the whole package. I am delighted to have her here. If you haven't guessed yet, my guest is Butta B-Rocka. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. You know, you're one of those rare cases. When I read your book, I completely believe it. I think God made you that person who was meant to come here and dazzle us with your brilliance and your amazing ability to entertain us. I don't care if it's through your writing. I don't care if it's through your magnanimous efforts, through your charitable work. And you know how much I love your voice. I don't leave the room when you start singing. So thank you. Thank you for being here. And I know you've had some tragedies, some struggles in your life.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, I have to be honest with you. You're that person, the first time I heard you sing, the first thought that went through my mind after I was speechless, that your vocals were so beautiful, I thought, how is it possible that we share the same planet and I've never heard this woman sing? So I sat there and I thought, I don't get it. And then when I read your book, it became apparent that you've had some really intense struggles that thwarted you from superstardom for a few years. But I'm going to let everybody know, in my humble opinion, I know you haven't solicited this, but I'm going to give it to you anyhow. I have a feeling in the years to come she will be a household name.
I received that.
You received that?
Yeah, I received
Thank you, bud.
that.
I appreciate that. Tell us some of the incredible people that you have worked with.
I've had the pleasure of working with TLC, Akon, Zach Brown, Collective Soul, Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Had the pleasure of working with
Right. Usher,
Nas,
Outkast.
a little bit of Outkast.
A little bit of Outkast.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something, folks. Once again, my unsolicited opinion, her voice, her talent is every bit what theirs is. So you're going to hear a lot more. Let's jump into your book. Is that okay with you? Because I love your book.
Yeah.
It's power packed.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, I made a statement that I think that some people come into this world and God gives them as beacons of light. And I think you're one of those people. I love the stories. You started out as a little girl, kind of dancing and singing, when you were 4?
Yep, I was 4.
4 years old, right?
Yep.
And then by the time you were 13, tell us what you did.
By the time I was 13, I had already started working with a lot of different artists. I was back and forth to Atlanta, working with Usher's camp and everything, and Bobby Brown's camp.
And I think you produced your own song already at 13,
yeah,
right?
At 13, I wrote my first song called NOLT, None Other Like This.
Yes.
That was the group, and the song was called Love. Love.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm inspired. Not too many people have done such things by the time they're 13 years of age.
Yeah.
Little early, little prodigy here.
I was, at age 13, once I wrote my first song, of course, I was inspired to do more. So.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So let's jump in here. You, from 13 to 19, big things were happening. I mean, you were working with incredible people. You were really developing your ability to sing. You were doing some writing as well.
Yes.
And unfortunately, something very tragic happened. Tell us about that.
Literally, as I was on my way to the attorney's office, the next day, I was on the way to the attorney's office and got into a car accident. And the car accident left me drinking from a straw for 6 months.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So not only couldn't you eat real food,
right,
but you couldn't do your primary passion, the love of your life.
Well, the biggest problem for me was that the 2 deals, I had a deal on the table with Warner and Sony Records. And to now not have those deals on the table or not make it to sign the deals was like, oh my God. Yeah. Because that's, as a kid growing up, that was my go-to. That was all I've ever wanted to do, was be on stage, be at the Grammys, BET and all these different places performing. And I had the deals. And
right.
I was headed to the office, and then just wham, all of a sudden it's just taken from me.
Wow. I can relate in another way, not that I was a singer, but in athletics that happened to me.
Right.
I got a severe injury that forever stopped me from becoming a national champion.
Right.
And I was directed in that way. So I don't know what it's like to lose my voice, but I knew it was like to lose my title.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it hurts badly.
It forces you to try to figure out what now, because that was all that I knew. That was all that I wanted. And so it forced me to have to try to figure out something else.
You actually had plates, thank you very much. You actually had plates put in your face, as I recall. The accident was that severe.
Yes.
Right? Your face was damaged so badly that they had to put plates in. Yes. Wow.
They did the surgery through my mouth. I got titanium plates in my face. It's crazy because when I used to go into the malls and to the airports, I would always go off. So the doctors had to give me a note that I had to walk around with to let them know, that I had
Right.
surgery and everything. So it was very depressing because, again, I'm young and this is all that I've known and all I've wanted to do. And then all of a sudden it was just gone.
So, and gone on a number of levels.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing after the surgery, you probably had to learn how to sing again.
I did. I don't know, not necessarily how to sing again, but mentally I didn't think that I could sing. I think the voice was still there, but I was scared to open my mouth because I also had stitches in my mouth.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
In other words, my goodness, you have surgery, you have plates put in your face.
Right.
I'm going to guess that's going to alter the way you speak, the way you sing. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, wow. So here you were, Warner and Sony had big contracts on the table,
Yeah.
and you were set for stardom.
Yeah, I was going to be that next it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, you still are that to me and many
Thank
others.
you.
And I do believe you'll have that before it's all said and done.
I believe that too.
So
Just different ways of getting it. that's all.
Exactly.
Right.
I think you're going to be a more well-rounded artist.
Right.
I think you're going to be a more grounded artist. And I think you're going to be able to, because you are so much more developed, so much more well-rounded,
Right.
grounded in your spirituality. You're so
Right.
much wiser. I think you're going to be able to bring a bigger game to the world.
I'm praying that.
You're praying that? I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. So, okay. So let's take it. You were 19. You had this tragic accident, and you had to recreate yourself. I want to hear about that process.
Well, it took a long time because after the car accident, it took me a year to come back out. And when I tried to come back out, it was actually Akon that came over and was like, you got to keep singing. And I'm like, I can't sing. And he was like, you got to keep going for it. So we went to the third label that was interested in signing me. And the third label basically told me that, I had missed the boat because at that time they were signing the Britney Spears, who was, the 9 and 10 and 11-year-olds. And I'm now 18, 19. I think it was 19 at that point. And so, it became very disheartening. I became depressed, very depressed, and didn't know what else I was going to do. I got married, college, kids, all that type
Right.
of stuff. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that. So you put your career on hold.
Yeah.
You got married.
Yeah.
And you had kids.
Yeah.
What happened next?
What happened next? Well, I had an amazing relationship, and I was raising my kids, but it was still something that it was still something that was tugging at me, like that. I felt like something was missing in my life. And as much as I tried to hide from music and, because it had disappointed me so much, I kept coming back. And so I started doing work over at a DARP studio, doing backgrounds in the studio for TLC, doing demo work, rather, in the studio for TLC, and did my first single with Lil Zane and stuff like that. And that was going good until one day while I was there, I overheard a conversation. This guitar player had given, I'm going to tell my age, had given a cassette to one of the producers that worked over at DARP. And they gave them the cassette, and he was like, on top of me playing the guitar, I also am a singer. I'm an artist myself, man. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to check you out. And then when he left, the guys just start cracking up, and they was like, people need to stay in their lanes. And, if you're a guitar, just play the guitar, man. Just play the guitar. And so I'm sitting there and I'm hearing this, and I'm like, okay, if I stay here just doing these backgrounds, this is how y'all are going to view me.
Yes.
If I try
right.
to come out as anything other than just the background singer, this is what you're going to say about me. And it was just something that I didn't want. Not that anything is wrong with, if that's your passion, if that's what you want to do backgrounds, cool. I wanted to do backgrounds. I like the money. But that wasn't, I felt like that wasn't it for me.
Yeah.
I still wanted to be on stage as an artist.
You want to be a soloist.
Absolutely.
That's who you are. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. You got that voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're center stage.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, we're going to take a quick break here. Folks, I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to Health Matters. My guest today is Butta B-Rocka. We're talking about her life, her music, and her new book, Fear of Failure. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wondered, why are we here? What is the purpose of life? How can I make a difference? The answer is unique for each of us, but the same: to make a difference in the world. And how we each approach it is unique to us. That's the philosophy photographer and author Peter Taremi has adopted with his latest book, Year of the Flood, a photographic narrative of life on the Cincinnati riverfront. He found his path walking down the river with a dog named Murphy. The river presented a canvas to work on his art, but there was a dark side to this idyllic landscape. Through the Murphy Cam Project, he created a book to raise awareness and to fund organizations working to support the community. Year of the Flood is available on his website, petertaremi.com. All proceeds will support Our Daily Bread, a soup kitchen in Cincinnati. Visualize your purpose and support Peter Taremi and the Year of the Flood.
All right, folks, Dr. Nelson Bulmash here. Once again, you're listening to Health Matters. My guest today is Butta B-Rocka, an international sensation as an artist. She has a brand new book out. We're fielding questions from her book, Fear of Failure, where she describes how she goes from tragedy to triumph. It's a fantastic book, powerful read, very, very inspiring. All right, so let's jump back in. So you had this tragic accident. You ended up having to reinvent yourself.
Right.
And you took some time. You have two amazing kids. I love the pictures you post.
Thank you.
And they're pretty amazing. You know, I know you're their mom.
Right.
And like the deal of a mom and a dad, I brag about my kids too.
Right.
But legit, your kids are amazing.
Yeah, they're doing some pretty good stuff. They have been on TV.
Right.
They've been on national commercials. They have been on the cover of a magazine and featured in other magazines. And the youngest one plays the drums, and he's been featured on several different projects. And the oldest is now football and track.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Who's the big influencing agent there?
Me. That's what they've told me, which is really cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. You know, my son, one of my sons, well, both of the boys have Instagram pages, but my youngest one, he wrote on, you know, for Mother's Day and even for my graduation and stuff, he wrote on there how I inspire him, and I'm his biggest, you know, supporter and you know, different things like that.
Right.
I'm like, this is dope.
Yeah. Doesn't get better for a mom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow them too. I have a feeling they're gonna be iconic in their own
Absolutely.
way and time.
They got some stuff coming up.
Yeah. So all right. So you came back eventually. You had that infinite itch, I like to call it, that cannot be satiated by scratching it. How did you reinvent yourself, and how did you get back in the game?
Well, the good thing is, because I was technically already still connected and left on good terms with everybody, I still was doing backgrounds every once in a while, but I I wasn't in the studio all the time just trying to just be a background singer. So one of my co-managers was Mr. AJ Alexander, and I saw him one day, and he was like, you need to create a band. And so when I created my band, we did our first show at CSAC. And CSAC, if you're a songwriter, you're affiliated with BMI, ASCAP, or CSAC. And so to get on the CSAC show was major because I was new coming out again.
Right.
And so I was in front of all of these big, you know, time Grammy writers and everything doing the Christmas show. And from the Christmas show, a person saw me there and got me on at Centennial Park. Centennial Park led to me performing for the first time in front of 4,000 plus people. And I made sure that I went all out, you know, from the dancers, from the horn section, a 5-piece band. I mean, if you're gonna be on a big stage, you gotta make it big. You gotta make it big.
Right.
And you know, I dance and everything, so I was gonna give a show.
You definitely deliver a show. There is no question. As a matter of fact, folks, if I can, after the next break, I'm going to see if we can't get her to sing for us for a moment. We'll see. I'll talk to her over the break. So I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you play as big as you do, and you're going to, we all have fears.
Right.
You know, when we're little kids, they're all things that scare us. What were some of the things that scared you when you were little?
Falling off stage.
No kidding?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Wow.
Falling off stage. But no, the biggest thing for me was being received by the audience. You know, hoping that your voice doesn't crack, hoping that they like you. You know, those type of things were all scary for me.
Right. You know, it always amazes me that every incredible person that I've ever spoken to all have some kind of fear that they say, Nelson, I was paralyzed by this.
I still get butterflies going on stage. When we was up in LA,
yes.
Oh, I had butterflies.
Well, I mean, that was kind of a who's who of people up there too.
I mean, I've done some who's.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
but every single time I do, I get it. I don't think it matters if it's 5 people in a room,
no,
or if it's 9,000, which was my biggest crowd so far. I still get butterflies.
You know, it's interesting. My daughter's a 3-time world lifting champion, and she's going to kill me for saying this. Sweetheart, I apologize in advance, but she would go through a ritual before every national and world championship, and she was a 7-time national, 3-time world. She got an injury that stopped her, but had she not been injured, she would have been a 5-time world champion.
Wow.
And we used to have this deal. I used to say, honey, go in the bathroom and you can get sick, and then we'll go down and start our warm-ups every single meet.
Yeah.
And she said to me, Dad, why do I do this? I said, you do it because I did it, I think, honey. Unfortunately, that was one of those sad things because I was the same way.
Yeah.
I would get so nervous before I performed that I'd have to, excuse me, guys, I'll be right back. And everybody knew, okay, Nelson's going to the bathroom and he's going to get, sick, and we'll go from there. So, I think I've spoken to a number of high-level people, and they say, Nelson, that nervousness, though, prepares you.
Yeah.
You have to have a vehicle to prepare you to perform. And if you don't have anything, you're probably never going to reach the same level of performance that you would otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you started touring,
Mm-hmm.
and goodness, I think you've sung before presidents, haven't you?
Yeah, I've sung before.
2 presidents?
I've sung before 2 presidents.
And a prince?
Yeah, I've sung before a prince, a prime minister.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So you played pretty big.
Yeah.
So if there's anything to get nervous about, it would be that.
Yeah, I was nervous then too. Yeah.
So I have to ask you, how did you get through it to become who you are today?
Well, if I can go back just a little bit, the thing about, not only getting the record deal was also seeing all of the friends that I grew up with. When we first started out, we was kind of on the same level.
Right, same playing field.
And so when I didn't get my record deal and their career soared, I started feeling kind of like the groupie, like I wasn't worthy or whatever.
Ah, okay.
Because no one said, I used to do backgrounds for them, and I used to be in the studio and at their houses and writing with them and doing all these things. And then after the car accident, it was like all of that, left. And so it started messing with my mind because I started thinking, well, maybe I'm not good enough. I already had the surgery. I'm already drinking from the straw, got the stitches in my mouth, got plates in my face.
Wow.
The deals are no longer on the table. So surely my friends are going to, say, come on, at least carry the bag, something.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. And again, not that anyone had to put me on with them.
Right.
But I was working with, these people prior to my car accident, and we was doing, we was just like this, and we was in the studio. So I guess I was hoping that part of my life wouldn't have changed, and it would have made me still feel like I belonged. But their career soared, and then my career just plummeted, and I just started really feeling like I wasn't worthy of anything. Yeah.
It's so interesting, and I love your gratitude. You don't expect them to do anything for you.
Right.
And it would have been spiritually really incredible if somebody would have given you an arm and said, hey, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
I see you.
I see you.
And I'm going to make sure the world gets how big your voice is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me, Butta, because that doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't. It would happen with me. Maybe because I was the person that it didn't happen to.
Right.
I know that I would, And that's probably why I got such a big heart now, and why I'm always helping everybody.
Yeah.
I'm always booking people and taking them overseas with me and giving people shots and everything. And it's probably because of the fact that it didn't happen for me, but it also is because that they're super talented, and I'm not going to take somebody else's blessings away if I can help that person.
No, I get that. And I think from a spiritual perspective, and I know not everybody's spiritual, but I think helping other people, giving a hand up is very, very important.
Right.
And I think it helps everybody fall deeper in love with who you are as a person.
Right.
Because one day it's not just about who you are as a performer.
Right.
It's about who you are as a person.
Right.
And, I hope you have a very, very long, illustrious singing career, but I see you doing a lot of amazing charity work as time goes on.
Definitely.
Your heart is as big as any heart I've ever known or seen. And you're changing the world, not just through your music, but you're changing the world through all your charitable work. Now you've written a book. I'm going to guess, and I'm going to ask you if there's going to be a follow-up to this.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a follow-up. I'm definitely hoping that the book inspires people to let them know that, it doesn't matter what your situation is, that you can still go after your dreams, and you might have to take detours, is what I call it, but you can definitely still go after your dreams and everything.
So do you think, and a lot of people laugh at me when I ask this question, do you think that these events, these tragedies, as we like to call them, are really, and I don't mean the pain and suffering. Right. Obviously, that's terrible. But do you think that these help to really shape your character so you end up being a much finer, not just entertainer, but a more fine person?
Actually, I do. Of course, during the moment, you don't think that at all. You're like, oh my God, what is God doing to me?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Right.
This is horrible. So you don't see the blessing in it. But I've been told, the setback is a setup. Even, I just had surgery, and the book just came out, and I can't tour right now. And, I was freaking out a little bit because this is all I've been doing is touring and touring and touring and touring.
Right.
And so when you don't tour, what are you supposed to do? Because this is all I know. So, I was kind of panicking. But now the book has created other avenues. And so I'll still be on stage. I might not be able to dance right now, but I'll still be able to do what I need to do and touch lives.
And I think periodically, as much as you're an amazing performer, and you are a performer, I think you're going to go into your grave performing.
I am.
Let's watch Butta's final song and dance, and then we will gently lay her in her box and in the ground. I mean, that's you're that person that you're going to go dancing and singing to the very end.
Not only are you going to watch me, then you're going to watch some performers because we're going to have a party.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
That's the way it got to go.
That's right. But I think these things, once again, I think they set you up to be far better than you would be otherwise.
I think, looking back, I think that, had I gotten all that fame and did all those type of things, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I probably would have you probably wouldn't even be able to speak to me. I probably would have been so high and mighty, or something. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something. Let's, and I don't mean to be disparaging to anybody, and we don't have to mention names, but you did mention one. Look at Brittany. I mean, she's really struggled. I mean, I think she's an extremely talented performer, and I have always felt for her because I think she's a great example of somebody who's remarkably talented, who really did not know how to handle the tremendous fame and fortune.
It hits you fast, now that I've toured and I'm doing a lot of things, I have a lot of people that come up to me all at once and want autographs and be fainting and different things while I'm overseas. And it's a bit overwhelming. So I can imagine, a Britney Spears that you got paparazzi all in your face all day talking to you and messing with you. And anything you do is under a microscope. You know what I mean? So
wasn't she like 10 or 11 years old?
Yeah, I think she was 11 when she got her deal.
But how do you handle that at 11?
Well, you don't. I mean, you try to. Your parents try to keep you as normal as possible.
Right.
The people that I grew up with, Usher and Akon and everybody, well, he was a little older than me, but they try to keep you, they tried to keep them as sane as possible and trying to keep them in the same routines, but it's a little challenging.
Yeah, I get it. Folks, we're going to take our second commercial break. Please be here when we get back. I'm interviewing Butta B-Rocka I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're joining us for another edition of Health Matters.
Confidence. That's the key to unlock the door to unlimited speaking opportunities. The question is, do you have it? The answer is yes. But where to find it? Entrepreneur and public speaker Mark Stephen Pooler designed a brilliant speaker program to give you the blueprint to build confidence and become a genius entrepreneur and successful public speaker. In his 3-hour workshop, one-to-one or group coaching programs, you'll learn proven techniques, tools, and mindset development skills to help your career, business, or team to blast off into success. And to commemorate the launch of this phenomenal program, he'll be giving away a signed copy of his book, Tips to Create the Life You Desire, and a 1-hour coaching session. Simply visit www.markstephenpooler.com. That's Mark, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, Pooler.com. Press Yes, I Want to Move Forward, and type WIN to claim your gifts and your new opportunities with a brilliant speaker program. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get more speaking gigs, bring in more money, and create the life you truly desire. Confidence is everything. Don't be left with nothing.
All right, folks. Thank you. We're back. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to Health Matters. My guest today is Butta B-Rocka. I want to remind everybody that this show is brought to you by Plus CBD Oil. Discover the benefits of Plus CBD Oil, America's #1 choice for CBD products. If you want to find out more, please go to pluscbdoil.com. That's pluscbdoil.com. I'm going to put Butta on the spot here. I know, but I love your voice too much, and I know everybody out there will agree with me. How about a short little song?
I got you.
What do you say? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, I'm going to step back.
I'm gonna do some Stevie Wonder because everybody knows Stevie Wonder, and that's
Everybody
like one
does.
of my favorites.
Okay.
You make my soul a burning fire. You're getting to be my one desire. You're getting to be all that matters to me. Oh, let me tell you, boy, I hope and pray each day I live. A little more love I'll have to give. A little more love that's devoted and true. 'Cause all I do is think about you. That's it.
I made a mistake, folks. What am I doing here? We should have had a few million people just listening to her sing. Well, at least some new people will have heard you.
Definitely.
And I know they're sitting back, maybe driving on their way home from work to their house going, what in the world? Who is that? The answer, folks, is Butta B-Rocka. So what kind of things do you do to keep yourself developed, to keep yourself moving in a forward direction where you're grounded and you transform the way you think and you see the world and how you, not only how you perform, but how you create your world?
Right. Well, I meditate a lot, especially in the morning, and I write out, my intentions of how I want my day to start. I exercise a lot. I'm now a vegetarian, so I'm making sure that I'm eating the right things, and I'm into energies and stuff now, so I'm trying to make sure that my spacing and my surroundings are good. If it's a bad energy, I'm out.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I recently spent some time with a group of people, and after about a day and a half, I realized that almost every conversation we had was something about somebody doing something wrong, or one negative comment after another, and I thought, wow, all of a sudden I started to think negatively.
Yeah.
It's a real trap. So I love that. You're very careful, in other words, as to who you allow to be in your presence.
Yeah. I wasn't at first, and I didn't, just like you was just saying, you start noticing that you was getting negative yourself.
Yeah.
And now that I'm taking, examinations of myself, and looking in the mirror, that's not something that I want to be associated with, because it does turn me into a different person. Butta is very, very sweet and humble and all this type of things. But, if I'm with the right person and they're talking about somebody, at first I see that I try to distract them from talking about the people, and then they keep going, and next thing I know, I'm falling in suit, and that's not something that I like to do. So I had to start seeing, I can love you from a distance.
Yeah. Very true.
Because I don't want to be involved in stuff like that. I don't talk about people. I don't like talking about people.
Yeah.
So I don't want somebody calling me with the mess.
Yeah.
So,
very, very, very wise. Humble reminder, folks, that we did an experiment when I was at the University of Michigan. And one of my physics professors said, Nelson, what happens if and I've told this before, hang in there if you've heard this story before, we hit a device that gave off a particular vibration, a tuning fork, and it was 500 hertz. And he said, so Nelson, what happens if we strike it, and what happens if we strike 1,000 hertz? And I said, well, obviously the 500 hertz will vibrate at 500 hertz, and the 1,000 hertz tuning fork will vibrate at 1,000. Right. He said, okay, that's pretty simple, isn't it? I said, yeah, it's pretty basic. What happens, he said, if we hit both of them and we put them side by side? Want to take a guess? It's pretty cool. What happens is they both vibrate, they both resonate at 750 hertz.
Oh, really?
Yes. That was a very interesting lesson for me.
That is interesting.
Because that tells you that if you're around people who have a high vibe, a high frequency, who are up to big things, who are really good people, it's going to raise your own vibe, your own vibration. Right. Meaning you're going to be better. You're going to resonate at a higher vibration.
I mean, why you think I'm hanging around you? I'm trying to raise my vibe.
I said the same thing about you. So, but that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's physical proof that things tend to vibrate at a common frequency.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're a very wise woman, meaning you start hanging out with people with a 500 hertz when you're 1,000, you're going to drop down to 750. And the reason I say that isn't just because I think we're a lot happier when we're vibrating at a higher frequency, but I think that we are more conscious and that more amazing things come through the conduit to feed our soul and our spirit.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. All right. So tell us about what's going on right now. You've had some amazing things. You released your book, and you just graduated. Tell us about that.
I did just graduate. I graduated from Ashford University, double major in marketing and public relations, and magna cum laude.
Thank you for saying that. I was gonna have to tease that out of you. I thought
magna cum laude. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you should be.
And I was the first Black president for the Ashford chapter of the Golden Key International High Honor Society. So that was really big for me. So
I want to talk a little bit with you. I'd be remiss if I didn't about your charity work. I'm so inspired about that. Tell us about some of the charity work that you do, Butta.
I have an organization called Artists Rock the Mic, and before I tell you what we've done, I want to tell you why I started it.
Okay.
Have an organization called Artists Rock the Mic, and we started it. There was a young lady that approached me that was homeless. She was couch hopping and going from dorm to dorm and sleeping in her cars. And and she approached me wanting money, and I'm like, I didn't have any money for her, and she told me what school she went to. Found out she went to Kennesaw State. They have over 1,100 students there that are homeless. And so it was like, okay, so what can I do? I sing all the time anyway,
Right.
And I'm all constantly doing shows and concerts and different things. And I know tons of people, both national and independent artists. And so it was like, okay, well, why don't I take something that I'm already doing and join other people in, to help. And so we started doing these concerts. The very first one, I had country singers, rock singers, pop singers. Everybody was all in this together, and we presented a big check to Kennesaw State. From there, other colleges started contacting us, asking us to help them, and other organizations started asking us as well to help them. So we collected 2,000 water bottles for Flint, Michigan. We sent shoes over to Haiti, I think about 90 pair of shoes over to Haiti. We've collected probably about 700 something coats and blankets to this date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We collected scarves and gave gas cards to cancer patients to get them back and forth to their chemo sessions and
sessions.
stuff like that. I mean, we've done a lot of work. We've worked with the veterans. We worked with I Honor Your Service to America, where we collected toiletry items for the veterans and stuff like that. So, I mean, we're out here working. We are working.
I love that about you and your supporters, and I want to give extra thanks because I spent a lot of years in Flint, Michigan, and I want to share something with you. Most of my friends, including me, ended up with cancer.
Really?
Yeah. I've had cancer twice, as many of my listeners and many of my friends know. And, the reason I bring that up is because they've had lots of problems. And one of the problems they have, of course, is the lead in the water.
Right.
Interestingly, I was tested a few years ago, and I had very high lead levels. And my friend who tested me said, "What in the world? Why are your lead levels so high?" And so I think this has been going on, my point is, but for a long, long, long time.
The interesting, I'm sorry to hear that about, you having the cancer, but I'm glad to know that you don't anymore.
Yes, thank you. 12 years in remission this June.
Well, that's really good. The interesting thing, when we got the call about Flint, Michigan, what was crazy to me was that they were receiving some assistance from the government. I think they was getting a pack a day or 2 packs. I think it was 2 packs a day of water. But you got to think about it. You got a household of 4 people. You got to use that water to cook, to brush your teeth, to bathe,
yes.
For everything, to drink, for everything. And so it was like, okay, that's not going to work. So we had, like I said, we collected over 2,000 water bottles. We had Steve Harvey's morning show. They gave us water. We had BB&T gave us water. And then the rest was people from the music industry and my friends that came out and supported us and everything.
Fantastic. I want you to always know that the reason I do this, and I'm going to share this with you specifically because you do so much charitable work, I do my shows for the sole purpose of making the world a better place, of course, as I see it.
Right.
And so if you ever have any charitable events, I'm your man. Make sure I know about it, and I will get it out to as many people as I can.
I'll talk to you because we Artist Rock the Mic is about to do a big concert.
Yeah, let me know the details of that. And when I was a little kid, I'll share this with you because I think it's pertinent. I remember standing there one day, and I thought, wow, if I ever have a chance to be a radio host or a TV host, I want to do everything I can to give voice to people who I think can change the world favorably.
Absolutely.
And I never forgot that, but it was one of those things that I put on the back burner, and I just said, God, I'm going to leave that in your lap, so to speak. I'm going to put it there, and you do with it what you will, and I'm still game if you're game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, 16 months ago, Tim had me on his radio show and said, what do you think? We'd like to have you as a radio host. I'm in. Done.
That's nice.
Yeah. So tell us about what's going on in your life. I know you got your book out and you graduated. What's going on in your life in the foreseeable future? Anything you want to share with us?
Yeah. Well, speaking of the book, my book became a bestseller in 7 hours.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. On Amazon. Les Brown endorsed the book. So, I was very excited about that. The book also has been featured on CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for a first-time author, those are some major, major things. So, of course, I was very excited about that. I have a couple of concerts coming up. Like I said, I just had surgery on my knee. I was dancing, practicing, and I fell and dislocated my shoulder and ended up having a torn meniscus and a torn ACL. So I'm just now getting back on my feet. Like we had just discussed, I graduated this past Sunday, and it was 4 months out. I mean, a month out at that time, and the doctors was telling me I wasn't going to be able to walk. I'm going to have to use this walker, and I'm like, Doc, I'm not walking across the stage with no walker.
Yeah.
And so, I was able to get off the walker. I walked across the stage, and so now what I'm focusing on is I'm going to be doing a book tour coming up, but the book tour is also going to have singing involved in it, of course, and stuff like that. Right.
Of course.
I have some acoustics. I'm working on a CD to go along with the book, and it's going to be a motivational CD. I've gotten 3 songs done so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to Health Matters. My guest today is Butta B-Rocka. We'll be right back.
With all of life's stressors, it can be challenging to stay balanced and healthy. Hemp-derived cannabis oil, or CBD supplements such as Plus CBD oil, are becoming well recognized as a key supplement to optimize wellness. By working directly with our own internal system that maintains homeostasis, the endocannabinoid system, CBD, can help restore the body's natural rhythm when we need it the most. Learn more about Plus CBD oil and how to balance the system that balances you from www.pluscbdoil.com. That's www.pluscbdoil.com.
Download the UI Media Smart app at uimediaapp.com to watch and listen to all your favorite shows anytime from anywhere in the world. Shows that enrich, entertain, educate, and feeds the conscious cells throughout your body. We bring you never-heard-before topics in health, inspiration, music, psychics, numerology, current affairs, controversies, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.uimediaapp.com and start raising your frequency now.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Dr. Nelson Bulmash. You're listening to Health Matters. We're down to our final segment, unfortunately. I'm having a great time with Butta. She's an amazing person to be with. Thank you again so much. I want to talk a little bit more about your book.
Okay.
Because it's power-packed.
Let's do it.
All right, very good. So the title is Fear of Failure. And it occurred to me that there are really two parts of this. The first part is your story. The second part to me appears to be the lessons that you have learned throughout your life.
Absolutely, because that was one of the hard things about writing a book, was trying to figure out how do I approach this. And so the thing was, if you don't know my story, then you can't understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. So I had to tell about what was going on with me so that you can understand how I overcame it. People don't realize, I went from, with the music industry, they see the struggles of the music industry, the ups and downs. I even had, when I finally, was on my feet and getting out there, I even had all of my songs stolen by a producer up in Belgium.
I remember reading that.
Yeah. Took every song, got all these placements. She ain't see a dime. I'm like, are you serious? We signed all the paperwork. Everything was done professionally and as it was supposed to be. Didn't receive a dime. So I just went through so many different things. And then I went through a divorce and, having to raise the kids on my own and all of the different things. And there's so many different levels. And so, at the end of the book, I put all of the different things, how I overcame this fear, how because like I said, I felt like I was unworthy of so much. And so I had to finally look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm going to represent me, and I can't let somebody else's opinion about me define who I am.
Yeah.
And so I had to go to a journey of my own to say, okay, who is Butta? Who is Alethea Robinson? Who is this chick?
That.
Yeah. So it was like, who is this chick?
I think you may have the coolest name of any woman I've ever heard, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, you got to praise your mom and dad for that one. So I want to ask you, who are some of the most influential people who mentored you or who influenced you through speeches, through their writings, their videos?
Mm-hmm. My biggest inspiration, to be honest with you, is my mom. She has the heart of a lion. Like, she does not play.
Right.
Like, she's also in college, straight A student. She graduated from Ashford University. Now she's about to become a doctor. She's going to work, doing 12-hour shifts at the hospital and all this stuff, and yet is still able to maintain her grades and maintain everything. And while she got her bachelor's degree, she lost her mom, her brother, my granddad, her dad, and she still was able to maintain. And then she finished that and went on to do now to go after her doctorate degree. So she's my biggest inspiration.
I get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
She doesn't play, and then she was my biggest supporter because she took me at the age of 13 and 14. And once she saw that this was something that I wanted to do, she had no problem standing in there to mold me and to make sure that I was surrounded by the right people.
Right.
And she was my manager and, of course, was making sure that I was out there right in front of the right people.
Yeah. And she kept your head screwed on straight.
She definitely
your
kept
head
it.
is screwed on very, very straight.
Yeah, she one of the things she taught me is you never don't be that chick that sleeps your way to the top. Because you have to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day. And if I do anything, I want to do it saying that I did all that I could possibly do. If I get that record deal, whatever the scenario is, I want to do it on my own terms, not because I had to do something that I didn't morally think was right to get there.
Yeah. Excellent. What are some of the other things that you learned, maybe through some of your greatest tragedies, that really helped reshape you as a person and as a performer?
What I learned is that it's okay to fail. It's okay to have these. I don't even see them as problems. I see them as experiences that teach you on what to do and what not to do, for the next time you try. And the thing is, you never know, if you're good at something unless you try. So for instance, I injured my knee 2 years ago. And through that, it caused me to not be able to tour for a little while. And being a singer and this is all I do for a living, I had to figure out some more hustles, So I started writing and I wrote a play. And that play did very well. And then I injured myself again. And then in 4 days, I was in Hawaii. I was in Hawaii on tour and we had a hurricane. We had 4 extra days there. I wrote the book.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
So I love that. In other words, you don't necessarily see these, I'm going to call them catastrophes, tragedies, necessarily. I mean, nobody wants to suffer, a torn meniscus and an anterior cruciate, of course. But once again, I think sometimes, and I'm going to throw something at you, Butta, and that is that maybe periodically you should punctuate going on tour with a little bit of time for some self-reflection, so you don't have to be stopped so you can reflect and then create your next book or your next play or whatever. Right. What do you think about that?
I'm definitely not going to get hurt no more.
I like that. I like that.
I'm going to learn the lessons prior to getting hurt this time.
Good. I like seeing you dance up on the stage. I don't like to see you hobble around.
Right.
Tell me, you have your mother as one of your big influencers. Who else?
I listen to a lot of Joel Osteen. I listen to Les Brown. I listen to Tony Robbins. I listen to Esther Hicks.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I listen to Esther Hicks.
Very, very good.
Yeah, I like her a lot. And then I listen to a lot of people in the music industry that, I look up to that have been in the industry a lot longer, that gives me words of wisdom and things like that.
So share with me some of the things that have been most instrumental. I know you mentioned your mom. I know you mentioned some of the big powerhouses in inspiration and transformation. What are some of the things that you are really rooted in that make you who you are, that you do day in and day out? I want the listeners and the viewers to understand that when you're successful as you are, there are things that, I know you mentioned meditation, that you have to do, maybe the way you see the world, maybe practices that you do day in and day out, that are really responsible for helping you cultivate the person and the icon that you are. What are some of those things?
The biggest thing that cultivates me and makes me hone in on everything is my why. Understanding what your why is. My why is my kids. So I eat, live, and breathe for my kids. And I try to be an inspiration to them, so everything I do, I know that I'm on the microscope for them. Yeah. And so I make sure that, I am... everything is aligned the way I need it to be aligned because they're looking at me. Like I said, I do meditate and everything like that. Before I go do a show, I'm warming up my vocals. I mean, there's so many things that you have to do to get yourself ready. I visualize myself on stage. Right. Before I'm even on the stage, I know what I'm going to do. I know my hand movements. I know my dance steps. I see the crowd cheering and everything. All of those things are things that help me to get through my days. And I write out everything that I want in life. I believe that you can have anything that you want in life. Yes. And I believe that the only person that's stopping you is you. And so did you got to go for it. And so, again, I used to be this scared, timid chick that thought I wasn't worthy of anything. Now my attitude is, if I say I want to get it, I'm going to get it.
That's fantastic. So do you come across a lot of young people who meet you and maybe are in, and I know you're very humble, but perhaps as you look at them, as you interact with them, they seem awed by who you are and wonder if it would be possible for them to ever do something like that?
Yeah. I have a lot of people that, come around, especially the younger generation that come around that's like, oh my goodness, so you was able to do this, so I can do this too. And I'm like, absolutely. And then the thing is, I'm always trying to connect people. So, like, if it's somebody that's into health, I'm going to try to connect that kid or that person with somebody that can mentor them in those different areas
Right.
and stuff like that.
Beautiful. What kind of wisdom do you give young people if somebody is at the foothills of their life, maybe in their teens, but and they look at you and say, "What can I do to achieve like you are?"
Right.
What do you say to that young person?
You have to keep practicing. It's not going to just be given to you. They're not just going to knock on your door. So you got to go out there and you got to take it. But before you can go out there and take it, you got to hone in on whatever your craft is. So, if you're a writer, keep writing. If you're a singer, keep singing. Get good at what you do, and then go out and let people see it. So how you do that is you start networking. So for me, because I'm a singer, I'm going to go to all of the singing places. First, I'm going to start with the open mics. You got to start somewhere, and then after the open mics, then you start getting booked for different shows, and you start networking with different people.
I think, Butta, that a lot of people believe that success befalls you, like it falls out of the sky.
It definitely doesn't.
It definitely doesn't.
No.
You don't get to be amazing, folks. This is an illusion. I mean, a lot of young people who tell me how they're going to be, and I'm not saying you're not going to become multimillionaires off the internet, but I'm wondering, it seems like there's a lot of sort of missing that old school work ethic these days where, I'm gonna cut corners to become highly successful. And I read an amazing book that you may enjoy if you haven't read it, called Outliers. Did you read that book?
I haven't read that.
It's amazing. And one of the things, forgive me, I don't recall, I read a lot of books, a lot of articles, and sometimes I forget. The book title is Outliers. And the thing that I really learned, that I gleaned, I always try to learn a minimum of one point that changes my life. And the point from the book Outliers that I learned was there aren't many people who are true prodigies. What you have are people that spend an enormous amount of time getting exceptional at something. And the author had done a lot of research on this, Butta, and realized that it takes about 10,000 hours of doing something before you become extremely good at whatever that is. So, folks, if you want to become amazing, stick to it and show up every single day and do your due diligence and work in a very focused, determined way. Surround yourself with amazing people that can help you get there faster.
Yeah. Speaking of that, there was for me, because I was in high school, 13 and 14 and stuff like that, or in middle school, I don't even know what grade that is. But for me, I didn't go to prom. I didn't get to go to the football games. Not that I couldn't go. I didn't go because I was out there practicing.
Yeah.
Practicing.
Right.
And more practicing. Literally.
I will leave you with this, Butta. We'll conclude with this, and then I have to make my quick announcements for next week. When my daughter won one of her world titles, I have a friend, his name is Sabutai Musashi. He's the Grand Master of the Ninkagiru martial arts system. Youngest person to ever be inducted in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And he sent me one statement after my daughter, and I coached her to her world title. He said, "Nelson, champions are made when no one's watching."
Right.
Remember that, folks. It's what you do day in and day out.
Absolutely.
So my final thoughts for you. If you want to be successful, take lessons from somebody who's extremely successful like Butta. Join me, folks, this next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have Dr. Jean Lawrence in. We're going to talk about female hormones and how to balance them so you can return to a vital, bold, happy life. Remember, always be your best. I'll be here next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll talk to you then.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Health Matters with Dr. Nelson Bulmash, where we help you discover how to ignite your mind, body, and spirit connection. Join us next time when we will bring you more exciting guests and engaging topics. Meanwhile, feed your mind, exercise your body, and nurture your spirit. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.
Download the UI Media Smart app at uimediaapp.com to watch